Hi everyone, my name is Kat, Art of Fair Librarian, and welcome to a new reading vlog. Today it is Friday, and I'll show you what I'm reading. First of all, I am still reading Check and Mate on audio. I listened to a lot of it yesterday. I was in an audiobook mode, so I listened to a lot. Which means that I got quite a chunk done, and I actually have only 1 hour left of it, so I might finish it soon, which is great, because it's also going to be due at the library next week, so I hope that I can finish it by then. But I'm also reading a physical book, which is How to Solve Your Murder by Kristen and Perrin. I am halfway through. I had hoped to have finished it by now, but that didn't work out. Because this is a rollover from November, and I wanted to already be able to have started my books for the Reindeer Readathon and for Gamenightathon. But yeah, I'm still with this rollover. I'm gonna try to finish it this weekend so that I can just focus on books that I need to read for the readathon. And yeah, I am quite enjoying it. So it's a murder mystery about a woman who, when she was a teenager, went to a fortune teller, and they told her that she was going to be murdered at some point. To give a whole cryptic thing, the way fortune tellers do. But one of the elements was that she was going to be murdered, and this woman believed it her entire life, but no one else did until decades later. She does end up being murdered, and so her grandniece is investigating the murder. And we get flashbacks, which I'm really liking the flashbacks. They're just, I think they're adding a lot to the story, and adding a lot of substance to it, which I'm happy with, because sometimes in a dual timeline with a murder mystery, I'm not really a fan of the past timeline, but I like it here. So yeah, I'm quite enjoying it. I do want to know what happens and how it continues, so I'm going to try to finish it this weekend, because it does read quite quickly when I'm reading it. So that's that one. And then I have another book that I'm going to be starting this week, because once I finish it, I want something new to read. And so I was looking at the books that I need to read for Reindeer Readathon and Gamenightathon. For the Reindeer Readathon, the order in which I read it doesn't really matter, but for Gamenightathon it does to a certain extent, in that there is 5 books that I need to read first, and then after that I can read the other ones. Within the first 5 I can swap order, and within the one next later I can swap order, but those 5 have to be read first. And so I was looking at those 5, and there were 2 that were kind of calling my name at the moment, those being Nettle and Bone by T. Kingfisher and The Bone Shard War by Andrea Stewart. So I'm going to start one of them. And I think that's going to be Nettle and Bone. My reasoning being is that this is out from the library the longest, and the thing with library books is that you can't keep them forever. So the due dates is going to be coming up, and then I need to return it. And I think that if I read this one first, because it's quite chunky, that if I wait till I finish this to start Nettle and Bone, then I might get in trouble with the due date. So I would prefer to read Nettle and Bone first to make sure that I'm safe in that regard, and then after that I can read The Bone Shard War, which I have still a lot more time for. So yeah, that's the plans. I'll let you know when I have an update. So bye. Hi, it is Monday, and I have quite a few updates for you. So first, and foremost, I finished 2 books. Those being How to Solve Your Own Murder and Check and Mate. So let's talk about How to Solve Your Own Murder first. I'm a little disappointed in it. I don't really know how I feel, because on the one hand I thought it was fun in a lot of ways and I really liked the past timeline, but that's where the issue is. I think that the past timeline was done very well, but the present timeline felt very underdeveloped, and especially the characters, which was a bit of a problem. And even in the past timeline, there was one aspect of it that I thought also could have used more fleshing out that ended up being very important for like the resolution of the mystery. So, like in a good murder mystery, you have all the information, you just don't know that you have it until the end, until the thing is revealed, and then it suddenly all makes sense. And while I felt that the reveal of who did it, like it made sense, but I just don't think that we had all the information that we needed in order to get there ourselves, or at least I would have liked certain relations between characters to be developed a little bit more, because maybe it wasn't impossible, maybe that's the wrong word here, but just things needed to be developed a little bit more for it to truly feel satisfying, I feel, because I think the book focused just a little bit too much on other things, and as I said, the present timeline felt quite underdeveloped. Just like the side characters, I could barely tell them apart. In the present timeline, which is a problem in a murder mystery because those side characters are also your suspects. So like if you don't know who's who, like trying to solve the mystery on your own, which I think is part of the fun of reading a murder mystery, becomes very difficult. I mean, if you don't think it's as important in a murder mystery to be able to solve it yourself, maybe that won't be as big of an issue. But it was for me. And so, yeah, I'm not sure how to feel about it, because it does make sense. It's not like, oh, it's come completely out of nowhere. I know, like, there was one line in particular that I noticed that was very sus, and there was one point in the book that was like, hey, this, like, there is a world in which this could turn into a motive, but I just don't think that the book did enough to fully go there. It's just a potential that I saw for the book to be able to do if that thing was developed a little bit more, rather than me thinking, oh yeah, that's going to be the solution. You know what I mean? So that's where a bit of my conflicted feelings come from. But I still liked it. It wasn't terrible. There was a romantic subplot in it that I really didn't need, and I just wish wasn't there, because it was so, I don't know, it was so weird and kind of cringy and uncomfortable to read about, and I just wish it wasn't there. So yeah, that is that. I will probably read the second book when it comes out, which I think is somewhere early 2025. Like, I do want to give it a try, but yeah, I hope that some of the issues are going to be solved, because I believe that is the first mystery book that is authorized published. I think she has other books, but I don't think they're mysteries. I could be totally wrong on this. But yeah, that is How to Solve Your Own Murder. Then I also finished Check and Mate, which I thought was very cute. Yeah, I really liked it. I liked the chess part of it. I already mentioned in an earlier vlog that I just didn't expect to be into the chess as much and be as invested in the chess as I was. So I really like that. Yeah. And then I love how they were just, yeah, how they were competing in a competition for like the world championship, but they still had this relationship and were able to keep up this romance, and I really like that. And actually there's like an epilogue that, you know, tells who won. And actually I didn't need to know that. Like the last chapter ends with them sitting down at the chessboard and like starting their chess match. And that's the end of the last chapter, and then there's like an epilogue later. And while the epilogue was insanely cute and I'm very glad that I read it, I actually didn't need to know it. I realized when that chapter ended, like I liked that it was kind of undecided, because I think that I thought that that would happen differently. So yeah, this was really cute and I liked it a lot. I definitely want to try more of a Hazelwood, which is a thing that I didn't think I was gonna say. But here we are. So yeah. I listened to the audiobook for this and I liked the audiobook as well. So if that is a thing that you're wondering, I liked the audiobook. Disclaimer, I don't listen to a lot of audiobooks, so maybe this is just me being fairly new to the medium and just liking everything. You know, like how you're new to things and you think everything's great, and then only when you have more experience and you see that, like, no, that wasn't bad. It could be the case. So, little disclaimer, like, take my opinion with a grain of salt, but I liked it a lot, so yeah, that is chicken meat. And so then I started a book, which was Nettle and Bone by T. Kingfisher, but I didn't get very far. Like, the writing style and my brain just were not friends. Like, it really didn't work for me. It could just be like an in the moment thing, so there is a chance that I will try it again at some point. We'll see. But at this point, the writing style just didn't work for me personally. So yeah, I'm just going to, since I really didn't get far, I'm also just gonna, outside of this clip, you will not hear me mention Nettle and Bone again. I'll just quietly pretend that I've never started it. So yeah, I didn't love that. But that meant that I needed a new book for, Dasher, for the Reindeer Readathon, and then I needed a new book out of the first 5 for my Gamenightathon. So I had used it as a Dasher prompt, which was a book that was recommended on social media. I'd seen a video recommending short fantasy books, and this was on there. So I was like, oh, I don't know what I'm going to do for that. And then I thought, you know what, how about I just look up some holiday romances, because it's December and I really like reading holiday romances in December. So how about I just look up a recommendation video for that. I will put the video that I watched in the description if I remember. But one of the books on there was a book that I was already kind of thinking about maybe potentially reading in December, so that worked out great, and that was Holiday Romance by Catherine Walsh. So yeah, that's going to be my new book that I'm going to read for Dasher. I already placed my hold at the library, and there is, I mean, I'm the first in line. Well, no, technically I'm not, but there's like multiple copies, and there's more copies than there are people waiting, so I'm the first in line for one of the copies. So that should probably arrive somewhere in December. So yeah, then I started the Christmas Tree Farm. My e-reader's over there. Let me go grab it real quick. So there we are, still making a bit more visually pleasing to talk about, even though we have like the white border on the cover, because my e-reader can never just show the cover as it is. It always has to do some work with it. But yeah, this is the third book in the Dream Harbor series. I read the first two books, which are The Pumpkin Spice Cafe and The Cinnamon Bun Bookstore. In November, I liked The Pumpkin Spice Cafe. Like, I thought it was okay. I didn't love it. It wasn't a new favorite by any means, but like, you know, it passed the time. And then I DNF'd the Cinnamon Bun Bookstore because I just really couldn't get into it. And I would have DNF'd a series by now if the third book wasn't a Christmas romance, because there are things that bother me in normal romances that don't bother me as much in Christmas romances. So I didn't want to give this one a try. But after this, I'm done with the series. I'm not going to pick up the fourth book, which comes out in spring, I think. So this is about a woman called Kira who really isn't into Christmas, and she has bought a rundown farm, which turns out a Christmas tree farm, but she didn't know that because she didn't even look at the place when she bought it. She just needed to be out, and like take distance from her past life. And so she moved here with like this little farmhouse that, like, you know, it's like cold because like the heating doesn't work, there's no Wi-Fi, you know, like a very old thing that really needs to be renovated. And then there's like a Christmas tree farm that is immensely popular, and people want to go get their trees from this farm. But she doesn't want people, and she's kind of rude to people when they try to enter. And that includes our main character, Bennett, or a male main character, Bennett, I should say, who is just walking his dogs and ends up on the premise of this Christmas tree farm, and Kira isn't happy with that. And so they argue, and that is sort of like their meet cute moment, I guess. I don't know if that's the definition of meet cute. I'm not a romance reader as much. So but that's when they meet the first time, and they can't really stop thinking about her. Like, they don't like each other. They think that the other person is very rude, and, you know, like enemies to lovers, I guess. Bennett is also the brother of Jeannie, who is the female main character of the first book. And so he's staying with her for now, just, you know, to spend time with her, and all that. So yeah, we're gonna have a romance between them. Also, like the villagers have been trying to get to know Kira because, you know, like it's a small town where everyone is in everyone's business, and you know, like she has been very rude, and so like to this Bennett, like, hey, like, you're also new in town, can you go, because you're like a bit more neutral, like maybe that worked. And he's like, yeah, no, I was there yesterday and that didn't go well. So, but they end up sending him, and so that is how they get to know each other. So far, I'm not loving it. I really dislike Kira. She's kind of dumb and just rude for no reason, and I don't like her. I can deal with a prickly female main character, but like she's just, you know, like it's too much, in my opinion. So I am gonna give it a bit more. I'm 12% in because these books are quite short and they read quite quickly. I'm maybe gonna get a little bit more, maybe just like 20%, and then see how I feel. But yeah, I'm not entirely in love with this, unfortunately. But yeah, I am reading this for Reindeer Readathon prompt Blitzen. I think I don't know. I don't know the name of the reindeer. But it's like you had to pick 3 books that start with the same letter, and then use some randomized way of picking between them, and so this one got picked for me. So yeah. that is the Christmas tree farm that I'm into. I'm gonna remember it. Like, it reads very quickly, and I think I feel the same about it that I felt about the Pumpkin Spice Cafe, where I'm not like dying to pick it back up, but if I need something to just pass the time when I'm waiting for something, or like I'm sitting on a train, it does a trick. Or like my brain is tired, but I do want to read a little bit, like this will also do the trick. So that's what I'm gonna keep this for, and then maybe I can still DNF it later on. But now I'm like, it's fine enough for what I want from it. So yeah, that is the Christmas tree farm. But I already mentioned that for Nettle and Bone, I'm gonna need a new book for Gamenightathon. And if you don't know, in Gamenightathon, it's like a lottery thing, and by strategically picking your first 5 books, you can unlock more prompts, thereby increasing your chances of winning the lottery, because, or like not unlock more prompts, but unlock the possibility to submit more books. You have the same prompts you can pick from, but you can submit more books, and thereby increase your chance of winning the lottery. And one of the things that can unlock a prompt, if the first letter of the first 5 books form a word, then, you know, that's another spot unlocked. And so the word I had was 10th, because I had the Bone Shard War, the Examiners, Nettle and Bone, the Christmas Tree Farm, and Half a Soul, where in the rules it says that we can decide whether A or the counts, and I checked with Cleo, the host, and she said that we can mix and match, so we can count it one time and not another time. So I counted in the Bone Shard War in the Christmas Tree Farm, but I didn't in the Examiner. I had already uploaded my TBR video, and then I realized that if I don't count the in any book, that it could also be bench. So like it works either way. But yeah, now Nettle and Bone, so my N is gone, and I couldn't really think of a book that starts with N that I want to be reading right now. So I was thinking, okay, what can I replace it with? So my first thought was, we start with bench. I could make it beach, by replacing the N with an A. So then I need a book with an A, so that would be an option. If I shuffle the letters around and replace the N with an I could make ethic. That could be an option. Maybe there's more, I don't know. But the one that I went with, because like, well, yes, I had books that would be possible for that. Another thing with Gamenightathon is that you also get to unlock a prompt if the all the first 5 books are being picked in some sort of random way. So either a poll pick, a spinner wheel, a dice roll, whatever. And so I thought, okay, maybe, you know, I'm gonna have to pick this one too, because the other 4 are, and I would like to unlock that spot. So I thought there is one letter that could work, that I have 2 books for. And that is if in 10th you replace the N with an E, that you get teeth. And I have 2 books that start with an E. The first one is an ebook. It's a Dutch Christmas romance. It is called Een Ongelooflijke Kerst. The first book is which is spelled E-E-N, so it starts with an E. And then the second one is Heir, which you can see the title here. It starts with an E. It is Erfgenaam van Vuur. So if I just roll a die to decide between those 2, then it is also randomly decided for me, and I still have a book to pick. And then I thought, you know what, if I'm gonna decide random anyway, I can, like, they don't have to have the same like first letter, right? Like I can, if I have multiple options, then I can add one with a different letter. So I'm going to add a third option, which is Snowed In by Catherine Walsh. The Dutch title is Ingesneeuwd, which starts with an I, which means that I can still form ethic, like in work ethic or something like that. So I, with the TBR video, with the listen prompt where I had 3 books to pick from, I did it where one book was If I Roll a 1 or a 2, one book a 3 or 4, and one book a 5 or a 6. And I'm going to do that again. So if I roll a 1 or a 2, I will be reading Een Ongelooflijke Kerst, that Dutch Christmas romance. It's not too long. I'm not really sure what it's about even. But I had seen it and I put it on hold from the library, and then it was available and I got it as an ebook from the library. So that is number 1. Number 2, well, that is If I Roll a 1 or a 2. Second book, If I Roll a 3 or a 4, will be Heir of Fire. And then the third book, If I Roll a 5 or a 6, will be Snowed In by Catherine Walsh. So let's roll a die. So there we go. Oh, a 4. So as you saw, I ended up rolling a 4, which means I'll be reading Heir of Fire, which is the book that I was secretly hoping would win. So I'm very pleased with that. There is a read-along of this, which is the Maas Effect read-along, hosted by Bethany over at Beautifully Bookish Bethany. That is reading everything that Sarah J. Maas has ever put out, and I'm running behind because, I mean, December is technically a break, but in November, we read A Court of Frost and Starlight, but I'm gonna read it in December because it's a holiday-themed book. But then in January and February, we're gonna do like the tandem read of book 5 and 6, whatever the title is. But I haven't read those yet. Like I haven't read book 3 and book 4 yet. So we need to get to these before I can get to the tandem read. So I need to read 2 more books before I'm caught up with this read along. So I'm really glad that I can read this fairly early on in the month because it is part of the first 5. So I wasn't sure what my next book is going to be. That I was going to start now. But maybe I should just start Heir of Fire. Maybe that would be a good move. The other books that I was contemplating were The Examiner and The Bone Shard War, but you're currently sitting on top of that book, so like I can't grab it right now. But actually, I was gonna decide between them because part of me thought that Een Ongelooflijke Kerst would win. That was like my gut feeling. But I'm glad that it chose this because I think that this is the one that I'm going to be starting now. And I'm really excited. I'm really excited to get back to the series, to get back into this world, and to, get a little bit closer to catching up on this series. So yeah, enough rambles now. I will talk to you later. Bye. Hello. It is Tuesday evening, and I realize that I have to do the final clip of this vlog now because tomorrow will be a pretty busy day, and so I can't do it tomorrow, so it'll have to be today because, I need to put up this vlog tomorrow. So I have started Heir of Fire. I am this far into it, so not very far. The beginning bit, I was like, oh, I don't really remember a whole ton of, like, where the second book leaves off. Like, just a second book in general, I don't remember a ton of it, I realized, but it's coming back pretty quickly. Like, as certain characters are mentioned or certain events are alluded to, like, it's coming back pretty quickly, like what happened before. So that's good. And yeah, I don't know, it's weird returning to this series after reading the first 3 ACOTAR books, because I think that like, those are better. I don't know if it's because Sarah J. Maas has more experience or they're just more the things that she does well are more like the books are more suited for her strengths, or if it's just a personal thing that I just like those other ones more. But yeah, I don't know. I do definitely notice a difference, for sure. Um, but that's okay. I still want to keep reading. I'm still excited to keep reading. I also realize that I'm like not as invested in this series as I am in the Actor series, but that could also be because it has been such a while, and so if I get sort of back in this world and get my footing again with the characters and the plot and everything, maybe I will get more invested again in this. So yeah, I've started. I am enjoying my time with it. But yeah, there's not much more I can say because it's like I'm on page 35. Um, so yeah, but I have to end the vlog here. Like it was a pretty productive vlog. I finished two things, Check and Mate and How to Solve Your Murder. I tried reading Nettle and Bone, which didn't really work for me. Then I started The Christmas Tree Farm, and I started Heir Fire. The Christmas Tree Farm I haven't read anything more since yesterday when I updated. So yeah, I think that will be the vlog. I had forgotten that I wouldn't be able to update tomorrow, because I have things to do, then I won't be home to update. So I'm gonna do it now. This is the end of the vlog. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you read in the past week, and I'll hope to see you again in another video. Bye!